Hello and welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. My name is Abby Mickey and I'm here with friends to talk about women's professional road racing and probably other stuff as well. Today, it's still a full Aussie team, well, minus myself, obviously. Gracie Elvin, hello.
Hello. Yeah, I like how you said mostly about cycling, maybe a few other things.
There's a lot on the mind, recently. Georgie Howe.
Hello, I come from you live in my brunch coat, as my mother calls them, otherwise known as a dressing gown. This podcast has kind of threaded the needle between gym, dinner, and then shower. So I'm like at the pre-shower time. And this is
It explains
how
the hair, the dance hair.
Yeah, this hair, for listeners you can't see, it's a delightful hairdo. It was under a cap at the gym, and so I've taken off the cap. I've ruffled it a little bit, hoping it would settle. And I'm actually not. It's quite nice. I quite like it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a quiff.
I mean, you could wear it like that.
Quiff?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Quiff? Yeah. My hair does things. Got a mind of its own.
You'd fit in heated rivalry.
There we go. There's the first mention of the night.
It's just foreshadowing, subtle foreshadowing, but I think I would make them very confused.
Today, we've got Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race. The UAE Tour is this weekend. Plus, we have to mention Cyclocross World Championships. So, let's start with Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race. The final of the Aussie races. The peloton is back in Europe after a good couple weeks in Australia, but not before Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race, which was able to go forward despite the midweek race being canceled due to the bushfires and the heat. They did have the criterium, the spur of the moment criterium, which was pretty rad that they were able to put that on so quickly. Cadel's was the big race of the weekend, however, the first World Tour one day of the season. And we talked last week about how the course is selective, but not quite selective enough. And multiple riders tried to make that climb more selective, Mavi Garcia being the key figure there. But it came down to a bunch sprint of 12, won by Ali Wollison for the second year in a row. She is on fire. There was a lot to talk about that happened in that final 35 kilometers. Overall, I think a pretty decent race and quite a good showing from FDJ United-Suez, in my opinion.
I guess like most bike races, you have multiple chapters in a bike race. Like you've got they go through scenes. Like you've got the early break that goes. In this case, it was just a solo rider. But I think she could write a whole book about her experience in her race. But then we've got the first lap of the Cadels of the city circuit. That's another chapter because it was completely different to the next one as well. So yeah, I thought it was a really entertaining bike race. I mean, I'm always a bit nervous about this race, kind of living up to the spectacle of being World Tour, just because it is such a long lead into those local laps. And I do think that maybe 3 local laps would be good. But yeah, I was really satisfied with the show that the girls put on.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great race. I hadn't really thought about 3 laps until Tills mentioned it last week, and you've just said it again, Georgie. And I think, yeah, could make for a good race. But in another way, like I love that, I think I got this from Tills as well, that this is almost like the MSR of Australian racing. It's like the finale. The whole race is often actually kind of boring, but the final is so good and it's like so open as to what's going to happen depending on if there's a super strong climber or a few climbers or not. And I love that. Yeah, there's always people that are going to try and blow it apart on that last ascent, but like it's a will they won't they for those last 5 kilometers. And I really like that about this race. And I like that a sprinter can still come back if she's in good form or if she's got a good team around her or both, as you probably need. So I don't know. I think I am reluctant, and probably because of my personal characteristics as a bias, in that I don't want to keep making races harder and harder and more selective, because sometimes that makes it less entertaining. So I don't know. I think I'm still more on the camp of keep it to 2 ascents up that climb, but I don't know. I think even going to 3, just with the level of the peloton and how it's going in years to come, like maybe 3 will still have that similar outcome anyway, just because of the qualities of these bike riders now.
Maybe just go full send the other direction and just cut out the Great Ocean Road that the race is named for and only do laps.
Yeah,
Well,
I
like
mean,
that was the
like,
old world's course, I think.
yeah,
Back in 2010, they had bigger laps, I think. I can't remember how long the laps were, but yeah, they did laps of Shallambra and maybe, yeah, they could do that, but then it's not the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road race anymore. It's just the Cadel Evans Geelong race.
But also we need one day races on the calendar that aren't just suited to the climbers and like the really like the the riders that feature in GCs later in the season. We want riders like Ali Willison winning World Tour races. We don't want only like the mega hard races. There needs to be sprinters classics in there. There needs to be like a nice spread of winners throughout the season. And I think that the finale of this race has just enough to make it exciting with the 2 laps of the climb. There's a possibility that something gets away if it's the right combination. And there's a possibility that it comes down to a bunch sprint or a reduced bunch sprint or like a select group like it did on Saturday. So I feel like it's perfect. Like a third lap. I kind of agree with you, Gracie. Like I think the way that the peloton is going at the moment and the way that the riders are developing so quickly to be able to tackle climbs like this and harder races, that maybe you throw in a third lap next year, maybe it goes to a climber, but the following year it's a select group again because riders are just leveling up every year.
yeah. I mean, like, what is it? It's remember, Shalambra's like a 4-minute effort, and then the one after it, which is arguably harder, is like it's 90-second effort from memory, but you got a bit of a drag up to it. Like they are repeatable efforts, but I think what makes them so hard is that because the race prior is pretty cruisy, and so then everyone's fairly fresh going into those laps, which does make it exciting. And yeah, I mean, I reckon I don't think it would take any of the spice out of the laps if you add a third at the level that the peloton is currently.
Yeah, potentially. I think the first time up, if you did 3, would be quite sedate. I like that they've only got 2, so therefore the first time they still have to make that hard as well, rather than just wait for the final. Whereas if you have 3 or more, it's usually only the last 1 or 2 that are hard anyway. So I don't know. It's like I think either way is good. But anyway, while we're a bit ranty, I would like to just have a little rant about one rider breakaways because I think that's been a little bit of a thing this
Please.
Aussie summer, and I'm not that pleased about it, to be honest.
I'm going to sit
don't
down
love
while you do that.
I don't love a one rider breakaway. It's old school women's racing. I think we're beyond that. We don't see it that much anymore in Europe, and I think that's because we have better knowledge of tactics. We've got better leadership in teams and in the cars. We've got better confidence in team tactics around what breakaways can do what and how to bring them back. And I feel like we're getting that level of racing more into women's cycling and have had it now for a while. And I like that of like, oh, this is a cool breakaway. They're working well together. Has the peloton calculated it right? And then it comes down close to the line. Like, that's good racing. I know it's a formula and that's a men's formula, but it's not a bad one. It's actually good entertainment. It's good value for sponsorships as well. So when you see a one rider breakaway, it's kind of like a sigh of like, oh, well, what's the point of this? It's boring for viewers. It's boring for the peloton. It's a negative racing. We don't see it that much anymore because one rider, they'll try, but they know that they're not really going to win. Like, sure, we have one-offs every now and again, and sometimes it's course dependent, but like, it's just like a doomed breakaway. And I think that it actually doesn't look that good on television. And I think maybe I'm just being a bit picky about that, but I don't think that it's super good for the sponsors if it's just one rider out there. I think it's better for sponsors and team branding when it's like this really nice cohesive breakaway that is like really giving it to the bunch and is like really having a crack to take the win that day. The reason I think that it's happened a bit in Australia this summer is because of these new World Tour rules, Women's World Tour rules. So we only saw World Tour teams. We only saw 14 World Tour teams racing in these races because apart from the Australian national team at the Tour Down Under, we don't have pro level teams that are allowed to race these races. And our continental teams are not allowed to race these races. And that kind of goes into some of those chats that we've had plenty of times now of like, this is great that Australian racing is stepping up and getting these big teams out, but at the detriment of our domestic racing scene that have used these races historically for exposure and development of our Aussie riders. So that aside, the Australian flavour aside, the fact that we don't have 5 other non-World Tour teams or so in these races means that we're not getting very good breakaways, because I think the World Tour team's mentality is like, we're World Tour, we're good, we've got winners, we've got quality, we want to go up against the best, we want to make it in the finals, we want to have numbers in the finals, we don't want to be in a TV breakaway. And I think that mentality actually took away from some of the racing in Australia. And I felt for the riders that were trying to force the breakaways and often and did end up alone, like Petra Stiasny, the human powered health team at Cadel's, because it's like, it's frustrating to watch that. And it's frustrating that there aren't other teams that are saying, okay, we're interested in this too, because it's good for us. It's good for our sponsors. I think that they just needed to be a bit more honest with themselves and go, we can't beat UAE or we can't beat FDJ. Probably, like, how do we be creative? How do we get that TV time, but do it in a way that adds value to the sport and gives us a real shot at winning this bike race? So yeah, I probably had a few more thoughts, but that was really the gist of it, of just being like, I just don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see one rider breakaways anymore.
I think you like really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
and I was gonna mention also the like the stuck upness of it all, like how there were multiple World Tour teams that didn't really feature in either Australian World Tour race at all, and probably could have been a little bit more honest with themselves about what they were going to accomplish at the races and thrown someone in the breakaway. Like, I feel like I pick on Little Trek a lot, but their top rider in this race was Los Adahist in 14th. Like, they could have thrown somebody in the breakaway. And the beauty of cycling, of bike racing, is you never actually know. Like, you never know if you do get the right combination in a breakaway, what is going to happen in the end of the race. Like, it's not like it is a doomed breakaway. If you have multiple World Tour teams in there, like, it makes the race more exciting, even like not even thinking about the TV time. But I think there was a lot of teams on the start line that could have been a little bit more honest with the form of their riders and their chances winning this race. And I think if anybody watched Tour Down Under, you knew that Ali Wallison and FDJ United-Suez were the team to beat. You knew it was going to be hard to beat them. And it could have, there are plenty of riders who were not going to feature in the finale that could have tried to go in the early break, which would have made the race a lot more exciting. So I agree with you 100%, Gracie. And this is definitely something that I'm really glad you brought up, because it was super disappointing. And I felt really bad for Petra Stiasny, and I have like a lot of respect for United, or for Human Powered Health, that they were able to, look at the race and look at what they could do and be like, okay, well, like, we're going to go for the break. Like, that they were the only team that thought that was a good idea. Because there's so many riders that should have probably tried. Like, there only 41 riders finished within a minute of the winner.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I can tell you exactly what happened. Like, there is a snobbery around the early breakaway in World Tour teams. Like, you're in a DS meeting before the race, and the DS is like, oh, if it's just small teams that go on the break, just let them go. Like, but if there's a big team going, obviously you jump on. But like, it's okay if like there's a 1 or 2 riders, like, just hang them out there to dry. They'll come back eventually, especially if they're just small teams. So it's like ingrained in the cyclists that like we're above the early break. Like, unless it's a big dog, we're not going after it. And I think that snobbery extends to teams like Human Powered Health as well, like the lesser World Tour teams as well. So they would have seen Petra go off the front and not paid her the respect that she's probably due, you know, and gone with her and not realizing the stage that they were on. Because I think they're used to the continental teams or the younger teams flying off the front and taking those opportunities and being aggressive and just, kind of treating them like the kids' table and be like, they're there, like, this will come back eventually. Have a go, good effort. We'll get you eventually. Like, but now without that presence, what does the World Tour race become?
Yeah. But yeah, tactically, like even as a big team, you can still use it in your advantage. If I was FDJ Suez, no riders in the breakaway. We're 100% on Ali Wollaston. We're going to do everything we can to keep dragging her back if she needs that help through the climbs to get her to the finish line. Tick, they did that. Lots of other teams had top climbers that were hoping to get away, for lack of a better word, on those two climbs. I think for the teams that had riders that were really good climbers but a little bit under the radar, like third place might be a good example. Maria Bonito from AG Insurance, she'll be talked about a bit more now, but like they could have played the card of putting a rider in the breakaway. Then they didn't have to do any work for the rest of the day. They've only sacrificed one rider and they know she's strong enough to keep up with UAE on the climb. So they could, like, just using that as an example. I'm not saying that AG should have been in the break, but just to say, like, you can still use it to your advantage if you're a team that doesn't have an out and out favorite, to have two cards, to sacrifice a rider in the breakaway, but it also means your team isn't asked to work, and therefore your climber is still in a good position anyway.
I mean, I think like with these early season races, that I would like to see teams have a little bit more fun. Like, obviously it's a professional sport, but it's also spectacle. It's supposed to be entertainment. And I see like SD Works Pro Time is one of the most serious teams in the peloton. They came to this race begrudgingly because of the new rules, and there are riders on that team that are so fun that could just have a blast, like throwing themselves around in the early stages of this bike race because they know they're not going to feature in the finale. And that's like, just, loosen up, guys.
It's a bike race. You all did cycling because it was fun. Like, and you're in Australia, it's summertime, the crowds are great, have some fun with it.
Yeah, if you're not going to win, you might as well have a good time. And I doubt that there was a lot of riders out there who had a good time finishing 8 minutes behind the winner.
Snobbery is a good word because I think that there's also snobbery around that as a tactic as well, or an anti-tactic of making it entertainment. And I think you really rub some people, especially some directors, up the wrong way when you say that is sometimes what should be happening. Because especially the purists go, we're not here to, just be in breakaways that don't do anything and be entertaining. We're here to win. And you're like, well, I get that, but you're also being paid to be entertaining. So I don't know. There is a middle ground.
And if you're
there.
not going to win, then.
I mean, I'm like a bloody broken record at this point. It's like 365 days of me saying this phrase, but like, sport is entertainment. Like, are they kidding? Like, sport is entertainment. It is in the entertainment bucket. You charge tickets to sporting events. People go and watch for the spectacle. For God's sake. Like, yeah, okay, you want, like, at the athlete level, of course you want to win the bike race, but like, you get paid to make the race entertaining, to bring more people in, because that's what breaks you money.
I think the deeper issue, I think, is just the black and white thinking around it. Is if it's racing for entertainment, therefore it's not smart racing. And I think that's not true. I think you can be smart, you can race smart and be entertaining. And I think that's where they get a bit tripped up, where they think that you can't have both. So I think, just be smarter and be more fun. Easy.
I mean, there
simple.
are races where like So yeah, come on. It's like you have one job. No, I think there are races where the race itself lends itself to being both entertaining and like a bike race, like tactically a bike race, like the classics. There's a reason the classics are so popular. But when you have races like Cadel's, where it's the course is not going to lend itself to something super exciting, like Omloop coming up, for example, but like it's still a bike race. I don't know. I think that this is one of those instances. Like I see the same thing as some of the later season races as well, and it's just kind of par for the course of being a race that isn't in that main block of like historical epics, you know, the classics and the tours, the grand tours.
The purists and like legacy thinking ruins cycling sometimes.
Mhm.
You have to like lean in. If you're not one of those races, then you have to like find a way to make yourself relevant. So
Yeah.
this is we're giving you the answer now on this
100%.
podcast.
Yeah, because I'm sure so many riders listen to this. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out of my system because I was just a bit annoyed about it.
Do you feel better?
I feel a lot better.
If
Good,
you
I'm
hadn't
really-
brought it
I'm
up,
really
I
glad.
would have brought it up. Anyway, back to the racing a little bit. I think I was unsurprised to see UAE like on the attack. They showed at TDU that they were arguably the strongest team in the bunch for these early races, and I think they did what they could, or Mavi did what she could, having the form in this January block, but just if they couldn't shake Ali, that there was no way that they were going to win the race. And when they came into the finale with just Mavi and Dominika Wlodarczyk, like, yeah, it was a little bit the same game as the final stage of TDU, where, you know, no matter what they could have done, once the climbs were done, they weren't gonna win the race. Even like a solo attack with a group of 12, and also there were so many teams that had numbers in that group that had an interest in being part of the finale. I was really interested in the tactics of EF Education Oatly because it seemed like they were racing for Noemi Rüegg in the finale and also giving a lot of freedom to Magdalene Valliere on the climb. She was riding really, really strong and one of the riders who was really matching Mavi in her efforts. But I think like EF was very open to either Mags making it off the front with some kind of selection or the race coming down to Noemi. And I think that they did a really good job with that multi option group that they had. I think like regardless of how anyone rode, and I think, yeah, Josie Nelson is one we have to mention as well. It was just always going to come down to FDJ United-Suez with Ali, and Ali's just riding so well right now. And she said that the Nationals is a big target for her this week. Kim Kadzau is unfortunately injured, so she won't be able to defend her national title. And that's something that Ali is really wanting to win. And I think at the moment this has just been an incredible run of form for her throughout these races.
Yeah, big Ali Wollaston
I'm a
fan,
big Wollaston
so-
fan.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Jinx.
I love you, Ali. So cool. Oh, she's got a new nickname. I'm sure she's already heard it, but it's Wally. Wally Alliston. That's what Phil Liggett said on the broadcast. I was like, he just said Wally Alliston. That's great.
Wally.
So
That
Wally.
is so good, actually. That's a brilliant nickname. Wally. All
Yeah.
right. For henceforth, Ali Wollaston, we dub thee Wally.
Wally. Yeah, brilliant. She's obviously done the work in the off season, but yeah, like she's had some really nice consistent years. That always is a massive help. So she's just delivering though, isn't she? That's the kind of rider you're going to spend money on, someone that delivers when they're asked. So obviously she'll be the hot favorite for her national champs. And I haven't looked at their start list, but I'd say it's everyone against Wally. It won't be Where's Wally.
Get up, Wally. No, I think it's going to be Where's Wally until the final, I think, because Wally's pretty good at sucking the wheel when she needs to suck the wheel.
Yeah, she's She's got the good racecraft. Definitely fun to watch in the overhead shots of the sprint. But yeah, like her teammates have also done so much for her this summer as well. And she said it lots in her interviews that she can't do it without them. But like she's right, she's really good, but they did a lot for her. So that's cool to see how that squad's really gelling again.
Can we just briefly touch on like the media presence of these riders? Like it's really improved over the past few years. Like the interviews that these riders give at the end of stages. I mean, Gracie, you're there with the microphone at the finish line a lot of the time. Like the articulation that these riders are able to give at the finish is really good to see. Like someone like Wally seems like a joy to interview.
Yeah, she's great. She's particularly good, really generous with her answers, a lot of personality. So I think, yeah, like everyone's a bit different with their comfort levels with that kind of thing. But I think on the whole, the general standard is much better than ever. There must be some media training happening more consistently across the teams. And then just that practice as well. They're just getting that practice in real events at like to have real microphones in their faces as well. So my job at the Tour Down Under was to do pre and post race interviews for the women's race and the men's race. And across the board, like there was only one or two athletes that were hard to interview. The rest were, yeah, happy to chat, give honest answers, don't give one word answers. They give you something often give you something more than what you've asked for. So I really like that there's this kind of new, I don't know the right word, trend maybe of riders not being scared to be themselves, not scared to be a little bit vulnerable. You don't see that coyness as much anymore either. You notice it when it happens, and I'm just trying to remember. It was Lucy Phidias, our Aussie at Team Picnic Post. She did a pre-race interview with Simon Gerrans at the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race, and she was being very coy about their tactics, which was funny and like totally allowable and sometimes important to not give away what your team tactics are. But I feel like we're actually getting a lot of tactics now in those interviews, way more than we ever did. Because I think it's like, well, it's kind of obvious what we're doing. This is our leader. This is how we're going to try and execute it. This is what we want. This is how we want the race to go. Try and stop us. And I like that they're not being as afraid to like say that stuff anymore. Like you don't hear as much of that like coy or like we're going to protect our leader, but we're not going to tell you who they are, and we've got lots of cards to play. So yeah, I like that they're just being open, and I think that social media is also helping that training evolve, because they're probably getting feedback in real time on their socials as well of like their personality and being vulnerable and showing the world who they are, not just as a bike rider but as a person.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see, and I think it's only going to do good things for the sport. And like quite honestly, like being coy in a pre-race interview at the start line, what's the point? Like the race is about to start, race plans can't change that quick. Yeah, I don't get it. Like I back the boldness of someone being like, this is our plan, this is our leader, this is what we're going to do, this is when we're going to do it, and we'll see who can bring it.
I mean, speaking of picnic personnel and Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race, yeah, I mentioned Josie Nelson. She had a great showing in Australia, second and third in the first two stages of TDU, and then second in Cadel's. A really great run for the youngster. Excited to see how she can translate that over to Europe, because she had a couple like close finishes in like the Giro and Ardèche later in the season last year, and I think she's just kind of chipping away, and this will be a huge confidence boost for her going into the next races and going into the classics.
Yeah, they took a bit of a hit with riders leaving, so it's good to see that they've bounced back.
Oh, I'm just getting a little bit of intel that it seems like a good vibe there so far. So I think that, yeah, riders are happy and they seem to have gelled pretty well in Australia. So it's definitely a new chapter for Picnic Personnel. But just speaking of young riders, I did want to briefly give a mention to Mackenzie Coupland, our new Aussie champ, because I thought she performed exceptionally well at the Cadel road race. I think that she was a little bit under the radar at the Tour Down Under. We saw some nice qualities, but I was really impressed with her in Geelong, and she didn't quite make it with the front group over the first time over Shalambro, but she did on the second time when it mattered. And she wasn't just hanging in there. She wasn't just sitting at the back. She was really part of that race in the final. And for a 20-year-old with that pressure of the green and gold jersey on, and I thought she handled herself really well. She had balls in the final. Like, she hit out first, probably touched too early, but you have to go early on that sprint, and she got fourth. So I'm really pleased for her, and that's really great signs going forward for her.
In the full white nicks as well, rate that.
Oh yeah, she
Sent
can
it,
definitely
yeah.
pull them off.
Well, before we leave Australia to talk about UAE Tour coming up, Georgie Howe sat down with Noemi Rüegg after her TDU win and just before Cadel's to go over her toppling of the 3 UAE Team ADQ riders and more. So let's hear from Noemi.
Noemi, welcome. We'll Talk podcast. You're coming live from the great city of Geelong.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to be here. And yeah, we're currently in Geelong for the last race of the Australian block, and I'm excited.
And it's race day because of the road race got cancelled due to the fires, and you guys now have a crit. Are you sad about the road race being cancelled, or are you excited for the crit?
I would say both. I think, yeah, of course, it was a bit unfortunate that the road race got cancelled, but also really understandable. And I think, yeah, there's more important things than having a bike race in this time. So I think now the organizer made the best out of it, and it's nice that they organized this crit today. Yeah, I think we'll just go out and have some fun, take it as a nice training, and then prepare for Saturday for Cadel's.
Yeah, and just quickly on Cadel's, because I do want to chat about TDU, but just on Cadel's, it's a pretty good race for you. Like, you're climbing pretty well at the moment, but we know that the easier the race is before the laps, the harder the laps are. Are you hoping for that scenario where, like, you just spin the legs out and then you can let some bombs off in the laps, or do you want a hard race prior to when you hit the Shalambro Hill?
Yeah, I think there's other teams that want to make the race hard from the beginning, and I think we will focus more on being there in the laps. And I think already the laps are hard enough, even if the kilometers before weren't that hard. So yeah, I expect a hard race, and I think we are ready for every scenario, I hope. And I hope I just get over these climbs well. I think, I'm climbing well at the moment, so shouldn't be afraid and just go out and try to be there as long as possible.
Yeah, so let's, because you are climbing really well, like double corkscrew with some pretty decent climbers who are trying to drop you is nothing to snuff at. So let's just go back to TDU for a second while we're a week removed from it. How did it feel to know that you were the solo EF rider, or the solo non-UAE rider in this group of 3? Like, on those last few hundred meters of corkscrew, what were you thinking? You just thinking just hanging on?
Yeah, actually, I don't remember that much from like the last time we climbed up there, because I was like so in my zone and so focused that I didn't really remember a lot. But I do remember that we chased back this one UAE girl, Dominica, and I knew I was with Mavi, but I actually didn't really realize that I was the only one with them. Only when we crossed the top of corkscrew, I realized, okay, this is our group now. And until then, I never looked back, so I didn't know if anyone's still behind me. And then everything went super quick. I realized, okay, I am the only one here now, so I had to think quickly, what am I going to do here now? Yeah, but I think handled it pretty well in the end, and
I think so. You and Nilsson Paulus, the EF single rider against the trio. So he had Visma Lisa bike, and you had UAE.
Yeah, that's pretty fun, actually. Yeah, I love this comparison. It's I think it's always nice if something like this happens and you prove like that it can be different than maybe they expect on the paper. So I think we made it an exciting race.
I think you did, and like so we're watching that corkscrew climb, and the TV coverage didn't really show, like they showed Dominica coming back to the group, but they didn't really show when your group formed and how it formed. We saw Spratty attack, and then the camera didn't quite show what happened next. Can you walk us through what happened when Spratty attacked across to Dominica?
Yeah, well, I think I rewatched the race as well, and I think that the commentators made a little mistake because I think Sprat never really attacked. I think they thought she did, but she got actually dropped from my group, and they filmed her, so it kind of looked like she attacked. Because I remember we entered the corkscrew, and then Max, my teammate, she let me out, and then I think actually it was Mavi kind of setting the pace, and then I was second wheel, and I just followed Mavi, and that's how our group then split. Like riders would just come off the back, and I just followed Mavi. I think at one point then I took the lead. Mavi was on my wheel, and then that's how we just rode the whole climb. And then towards the top, Mavi came past again, as well with her other teammate from UAE. And then we were this little group, but I think actually, it split pretty much from the beginning, from the bottom of the climb. It was just girls all over the place, and there was like no real attack. It was just Mavi setting a hard pace, and
Is that like allowed? Like, so you got a teammate up the road, and then you as another teammate, like not you, but like if you're if you're Mavi, you've got Dominica up the road, but then you set the hard tempo in the group behind. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it is questionable, I would say. I mean, it was a strange tactic in my opinion. But also, you never know how they were talking with each other. Maybe Dominica told them, I'm feeling really shit, like I cannot hold this pace anymore. And then they decided to send Mavi to her. But I don't know. In the end, from the outside, it looks pretty weird. Like I think a lot of people had some question marks in their head. But for us, I mean, for us, it was great. We just had to say thank you. And we could then really, we could really make use of this situation. Yeah. But I don't know. I haven't really talked with UAE after the race. I don't know. Yeah, if that was the real tactic or if there was some miscommunication going on. Yeah.
I think maybe you give them a bit more breathing time before you go say hi.
Maybe better, yeah.
So, but you talked about Mags and the role that she played. How important is she going to be for you in the season ahead?
Yeah, I think Max, she did an amazing job. I think we saw how she killed herself at the front for me. The whole team did, and I'm super grateful for that. I think that gives us a lot of confidence coming into the whole season to know how strong we are when we really commit to one goal and work together. And I hope that we can take this into the European season as well. I think Max is a great rider, and if she knows the team's plan and she's committed to it, then she goes for it 100%, and she's ready to set her own goals beside, which I think is really special. But I do think that in the European races we will also kind of share this role of being a leader, and I think she will for sure also get her opportunities where maybe also I will work for her, and because I think she should also get her own chances and not be only riding as a domestique. But I think we can actually handle this balance pretty well and share this role, and
Yeah, I mean, like it's not often that you get to have the world champion riding as a super domestique for you. So it must have been pretty.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's really special, and I really appreciate that. And I think it shows what a champion she is, like on and off the bike.
Yeah, she seems like a great teammate from all accounts. But I just wanted to also chat about UAE, because they are Obviously, tactically, they messed up in that final stage of TDU, but from a strength perspective, they seem to be they seem to have a lot of bullets to fire. As an opposing team, what do you think about when you see their lineup? Like, they obviously came to TDU with a full climber contingent, but like, do you anticipate what will happen with them this season? Like, they look very strong.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think they are one of the strongest teams at the moment. If you look at their individual strengths, yeah, I think you can never count them out. And I mean, before coming into the under, we didn't know who everyone, like where everyone's standing. Yeah, it was the first race of the season, so you see on paper who is coming, but you have no idea, yeah, who's in which shape. And I think they've shown that, yeah, they've come here in amazing shape. Probably also looking ahead for UAE Tour, which they will probably target a lot. But yeah, I think coming into European season, for sure, it is a team to watch. But I think we've proven already that you can beat them, and yeah, that everything is possible. But for sure, yeah, it was impressive how many numbers they had in the final, and yeah, let's see where.
Let's see what happens, I think, because they showed last year at the Tour de France that they certainly have the talent, and like if we look globally at their performances in races over in Europe during the TDU, like they've had some good successes over there too. So it'll be interesting to see for sure. Now into Cadel's, I would assume you would be the leader for your team for that race. Guessing, the win would cap off a pretty sensational summer for you. But with such a great performance in January, how do you plan out the rest of your year? Like, do you have breaks scheduled? Because it's a long season to go from January to October.
Yeah, it is definitely. I think, we'll approach it pretty similar to last year. I think, now I'm already in quite a good shape in January, and I know that the season is long and I cannot hold this shape or even build on this shape for, like a few more months. So I need to be clever with my energy. So I'll go back home, and February I'll have pretty much off from racing. So I'll take a few days break as well after Cadel's, and then rebuild for the Italian classics, Strade, Binda, Sanremo, Flanders and the Ardennes and the Vuelta, and then another little break, and then build up for the second part. I think, this is really important. I think this is something I managed really well last year also. Like, we had some great periods of racing, but then also resting and taking time off and relaxing. So I think this is, really important to be able to hold a good shape for the whole season, because if you don't allow yourself a period of rest, then it will catch up on you at the end of the season.
Oh, for sure. And I think this season in particular is a big danger of that, given the fact that teams can only miss one World Tour race. So it will put a strain on rosters.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And also, I think our team is a little bit smaller this year compared to last year. So we have to be smart with our resources, and we want to go to all the World Tour races, of course. But you know how it is. Like, if one girl is sick or injured, then can go quick and you miss a few riders.
Yeah, for sure. And I just had a quick question around, so we know Jonas had a spill, like he had a crash because someone was on his wheel in a training ride. What's your opinion on someone jumping on your wheel?
Good question. We actually discussed that yesterday. We went to the beach and with the girls, and we discussed about this, and we had a bit different opinions. But I think for me, I would say, like, if you're annoyed by somebody who's riding behind you, then just ask them politely, "Hey, can you please leave me some space?" Or, like, "I'm a professional athlete. This is my workspace. Like, please leave me alone. Have a great day." And then, you go. And if they don't respect that, then I would pull over, let him go ahead, wait a few minutes, and then continue. But yeah, of course, I understand his frustration as well. I think maybe, yeah, people, if they want to ride on your wheel, maybe they could just politely ask. I've had that in the past, that they just ask, hey, is it okay if I join you on your ride, and they just stay on your wheel, then for me, that's no problem. And if you have a problem with it, then just, yeah, say no, or ask them, yeah, to leave you some space. I think if this respect isn't here, then it's a problem. But if you don't ask them, then I think you can also not blame them for joining, because I guess, yeah, I mean, we are riding outside it's a place for everyone, and yeah, I guess, yeah, it's kind of it's a hard situation.
Yeah, it is, and it's one that yeah, you experience, like we experience a lot when we're outside, and I think like here in Melbourne we've got like a big road, and sometimes it can be a little unsettling, particularly if it's dark and a random guy jumps on your wheel and doesn't say anything. Like there's a safety aspect for me, at least, in that, like I don't want a guy following me around without saying anything. I prefer if he says, "Hey, do you mind if I sit here?" And then, but you can progress from there. But at least asking for consent in that space is always good.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think it's a really fair point. And this is not your first trip out to Australia. You've been to Adelaide and Victoria now a few times successfully. What has been your favorite part? Like, I'm talking food, cafe, beaches, and like you can be as weird and wonderful as you want in this answer. There is no rules.
I really love everything here. I think the whole vibe here in Australia is really different compared to Europe. Like, people are just way more relaxed and like friendly, open, and you feel really welcome and home here. And for sure, all the cafes, they're really high on the list. I think something I really enjoyed. Like, every day you can just walk out the hotel and you'll find a new cafe, and the coffee is so good everywhere. Like, I think in Europe, they can make a big step forward in that. And yeah, the beaches, of course, also. I love the beach. I love the sea. And yeah, just being able to experience life also around the races. You can go to a wildlife park. You'll see some wild kangaroos and koalas. Yeah, just all these things that we don't have in Europe, and I think that makes it really special. The food is great as well. I love the Tim Tams. Really, really great. We also have a Vegemite lover now with Max.
Oh,
Really,
I
really
knew I
enjoys
liked it.
that. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's great.
And what is your coffee order?
So it changed because I didn't realize that a flat white here is not the same as a flat white in Europe. Because I thought always a flat white is with a double shot espresso. I think that's how it is in Europe. But here it's with a single shot. Yeah, we made a whole thing about it now. It's just different. But now I order a flat white.
Yeah.
And in Europe, I would just normally order cappuccino. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So team flat white.
Team flat white. Well, you'll have plenty of friends around, and yeah, the coffee is great here.
Yeah.
I have to say my first coffee experience was in America when I went to university over there, and it was
Oof.
that was like not good coffee. That was
Yeah.
function over form, definitely.
Can imagine.
Yeah, but now I'm spoiled with a very nice coffee machine at my share house, so
Great.
get a nice long black every morning.
Nice.
Well, Naomi, I won't keep you too much longer. But yeah, do you have any final thoughts on your trip out to Australia? What your next races are Italian classics, so you have a bit of a break now.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. Also a bit sad to leave Australia now. It's been a great few weeks, and I really enjoyed it. So hopefully I'll be back next year. And until then, I will keep a lot of great memories.
Yeah, for sure, and we absolutely love having you. I was sad not to get to Adelaide this year and see you in person, but hopefully next year, and hopefully I'll see you at some point in Europe this year as well.
Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah. Well, Naomi, thank you so much for jumping on. I know you've got a busy race day now, but yeah, we'll be in touch over the coming months, and best of luck with the racing today and on Saturday.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
Alright.
having me, and great time as well to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, UAE Tour is up next. 4 stages, February 5th to the 8th. We've got 3 sprint stages in a row, and then the final stage is the Jebel Hafit climb that has determined the overall for the last couple of years. The start list at this point in time is not announced. However, we do know that Marlon Reusser is on the start list, as well as defending champ Elisa Longo-Borghini for UAE Team ADQ. Movistar announced Reusser's schedule for the year actually yesterday or over the weekend, and I was very interested to see that she has a very lean schedule this year. She's doing a couple classics, skipping the Giro, and has a 6-week block clear before the Tour de France time of Zwift. So I'm assuming that time trial in the Tour has a huge gold star on it for Marlon Reusser.
They're doing the what is it? The Pauline Ferrand-Prévot 81-day approach.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how she goes. Already, she was second in one of the races in Mallorca, but it's early days this season. But this is still kind of it's a weird one, this race, because it's become a hotspot for riders that we tend to talk about for the rest of the year. Like, remember that year Neve Bradbury had such an incredible climb with Kopecky when Kopecky won. And then both of them were riders we talked about throughout the year. So it's one to watch, especially that final stage. And I expect with 3 sprint stages leading up to that, we will also see a pretty solid lineup of sprinters showing up to this race. And yeah, let's go. My attentions will be elsewhere this weekend because it's the opening ceremonies for the Winter Olympics and the first couple days of competition there. But I'll definitely tune in for this final stage because it's always really good, this climb.
Bit of a juxtaposition between, snow and desert.
Look, I can temper my love of winter sports for the spring classics, but I'm just gonna be fully honest with you. Like, I need to not get excited about cycling in February, like in early February, in order to be more excited come like down the line. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, if I'm excited now, by the time we hit August, I am like mustering all the excitement in my body to try to be excited about like Tour de Romandy. So that's
no, you're allowed. You're allowed. You're allowed. And also, this happens only every 4 years. So soak it up, Abby.
This is also why I can't watch cyclocross. Like, they were talking about this on the Discord, how some people wish we would cover cyclocross. And look, I think cyclocross is amazing. It's really, really entertaining to watch. Do I want to cover it? Not necessarily, because I need to have a break. Like, riders have an off season. Podcasters also need an off season from sports. And much like, you probably wouldn't want to hear Johnny Long talking about women's road racing, you don't want to hear me talk about cyclocross. And I will continue to push for there to be a cyclocross podcast hosted by Kit Nicholson. But until that day, the cyclocross coverage is limited. That being said, I did watch Cyclocross Worlds this weekend. The race was freaking amazing. Like, it had everything. There was so much drama packed into that race. And I love Lucinda Brand. So I was absolutely thrilled to see her win after the season she had. And she's been on the podium of the World Championship since 2018. She's only won one cyclocross world championship before in 2021. So to take this title was just like, oh man, I was holding back tears watching her cross the line. And it's been an emotional run for her this year specifically, especially. But just, yeah, such a good race. Such a good race.
Is she going to retire soon? Is there like info about that? Because I wasn't sure.
I don't think so. I mean, I doubt it. She's got, 2 more years with Little Trek on the road?
Right, yeah.
Nope, this is her last year with Little Trek on the road, in theory. She's in a contract year, so we'll see. I mean, she's only 36, though, and top of her game in cross.
I mean, Marby won a stage of the Tour de France at 41.
Age is just a number.
Social construct.
and like just added recovery, just a couple more stretches every day.
Just a couple more.
It's just more. Yeah, you pull your back maybe a little bit more by turning the wrong way.
Oh man, I'm so excited for the Winter Olympics.
What are
Gonna be
you
wicked.
you especially excited for, Abby? Is there like a couple of sports that you really hang out for?
Yeah, I'm really excited for the cross country skiing. It's definitely my favorite. And Jessie Diggins is on a tear right now. So I'm excited to see what she can do. The alpine skiing men's, I'm excited for the downhill, the men's downhill. Family friend Ryan Cochran Siegel was third in the downhill over the weekend. So really looking forward to that race this coming weekend. Training is already tomorrow as this podcast is released. And the hockey, obviously, Canadian.
Obviously.
And
Canadian and heated rivalry.
Especially more so now.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have as much insight into men's ice hockey, but weren't you saying before the pod, Abs, that that 22 there are going to be 22 like queer athletes in the women's ice hockey competition at the Winter Olympics?
Yeah, heated rivalry is like the biggest thing in pop culture at the moment. I think. I don't know if it's just my bubble that I exist in, but it seems like it's pretty. I mean, Mark Carney was wearing the fleece, and anyway, not the point. Heated rivalry is massive at the moment, and if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It was really, really good. But the whole topic around queerness in sport for the women's side is always like a lot more. It's always interesting to me, like the difference between the two, and the whole topic of not a single NHL player is out on the men's side, but for the women's side, we've got 22 openly queer players going to the Olympics, a couple of which are married to each other or engaged. And there's one set. One of them is on the Canadian team and one of them was on the Swedish team, and they're engaged. So it's like a real life heated rivalry. It's great.
For viewers, Abby is like so happy describing all this. She just cannot wait.
Oh my God, I just love women's sports. I just think women's sports is just so great. Like the people are great, the sports are great. Like the athleticism is amazing, but I feel like what I really love about women's sports is like the human beings that find themselves in women's sport,
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
like
sure.
I did a bit of a different panel appearance on the weekend at a gallery launch here in Melbourne, and the discussion of the panel was like queer representation in sport and like the concept of desire and how does that relate to like bodies in a sporting context. And I think like heated rivalry is quite an interesting panel to do in the advent of heated rivalry and discuss like that, because I think a lot of the homophobia in men's sport comes from, or internalized homophobia in men's sport comes from the fact that like they refuse to acknowledge the beauty of the human body in the form of of how it moves in a sporting context. Like if you go back to the ancient Greeks, like they competed naked at the Olympic Games, and yes, it was about the performance of the athlete, but it was also about the beauty of the body and what it does. And as an athlete, you kind of shape your body into a tool for use in a very specific context, and there's a lot of pride around that, and there is a lot of beauty in that. And I think in women's sport, you appreciate that, like openly appreciate that, and you're not afraid to let desire kind of take the reins in some contexts. Whereas I think there's a fear of that in the modern iterations of men's sport, whereas in ancient iterations of it wasn't the case. But I think also women's sport, whilst it is fantastic and great, I think we still have work to do and I don't know enough about this, and I don't know what the solution is with trans athletes in women's sports. Like how do we include trans women? Because I do believe there should be inclusion. I just don't know what that looks like.
That would have been a really fascinating chat.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool to be part of. It was we had a photographer there called Seymour Hardy, And she has documented queer history in Australia for the past 40 years. Like she's been to the queer games, the gay games, which is like a sporting games that they have globally. And she's photographed that. She's photographed Mardi Gras, everything. And she was there on the panel as well. And she's awesome. Really cool woman. But yeah, hearing about like her experience was quite fascinating. And she took this photo, it would have been in the 80s, I think, of was at the gay games where like there was a male diver springing off the board and his competitor just looking at him, and you could just see this like the look of like longing and desire and like openly being like having that look on their face. And it was just like a split-second moment, but Seymour was able to capture that. And yeah, it was just really fascinating to hear like her thought process and the logic behind it.
Yeah, I suppose I'd never really thought about it from like a beauty and like a form over function point of view. But certainly, yeah, there's so many different ways to talk about queerness in sport or lack thereof of representation. But certainly, in my personal experience, being an athlete sometimes is a really vulnerable thing, because you're saying just with your appearance and your body, this is what I want, this is what I want to achieve. And if I fail, you'll know, like everyone will know if I fail, because it's obvious that I've tried. And you can take it a step further. You can say out loud, you can say publicly, I'm going to win that gold medal. I'm going to win that big race. That's my dream. But it's inherently quite vulnerable to be an athlete in that way. And if you're hiding another part of yourself and your identity, and you're not allowed or allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you're also blocking your performance. So I think that's a really tough, just a very small facet of that larger conversation around queerness, what that means and how that actually translates to performance as well, I guess. Don't know if I articulated that very well, but
no, you did. Yeah. It was perfect. It was kind of like what I said in that article last year, where you gave some excellent anecdotes and quotes, Gracie. Like, how can you truly be the best at what you're trying to do when you're spending so much energy hiding a part of yourself?
Yeah, but yeah, that heated rivalry. Whew. Oh, also one more thing related to this. If you want a lull and you want some bit of queer fun, highly recommend following Coach Jackie J on Instagram. She does
so good
these super funny videos of, is she gay or is she just a female athlete? And she like, I don't know, she takes the piss. Yeah, exactly. And she does all of them. It's so funny. But she does it with care and humor. She's also queer, so it's like mostly appropriate, but she's fun. But she's like one of those people that makes you feel good watching her when she also does all of her other videos, because she's just like a genuine sports fan, of women's sports fan like us. So it's fun to see people get excited.
Sports.
Yeah. Sports. Well, everyone should be excited about the Winter Olympics. So that starts this weekend. Tune in. Thanks everyone for listening to the Wheel Talk podcast. We will be back next week. And thanks Georgie for chatting with Noemi. It's great to get her voice on the pod.
No worries. She's an absolute joy. What an absolute joy of a human. Rainbow of sunshine. Does that make sense? Ray of sunshine.
This episode was produced, edited, and mixed by Will Jones at Red Bricks Media.